Right now, while you're watching this, you're doing something that would make a woman lose interest in you. You don't know you're doing it, but if she were here, she'd notice it in seconds. Here's what's dangerous about that. The things women are actually judging you on have nothing to do with what you think they're watching. And because you're not aware of them, you can't control them. Until now, most men think attraction is about confidence, humor, looks. It's not. Women are reading you at a completely different level, a subconscious one. They're cataloging invisible patterns in your behavior that reveal who you actually are when you're not performing. I'm going to show you exactly what those patterns are, the ones you're broadcasting right now without realizing it, and I promise at least 3 of these you've never even considered. Let's start with the one that happens before you even speak. When you walk into a room, her brain is tracking something called spatial confidence, not how you stand, not your posture, how you move through space. Do you hesitate before entering? Do you scan the room like you're looking for permission? Do you move toward her too quickly, or do you drift with no clear intent? Here's what most men miss. Women are watching how you navigate uncertainty. If you enter a new environment and immediately look for social validation, checking phones, looking around nervously, hovering near the edges, her brain files that as low status. But if you move like you belong even in an unfamiliar place, that's not arrogance, that's spatial ownership. You're not looking for a place to fit. You're choosing where you want to be. For example, you walk into a party. Most guys scan for familiar faces first, then position themselves near someone they know. The guy who turns heads, he walks in, pauses for 1 second to assess, then moves to wherever he wants to be. Bar. Conversation circle. Doesn't matter. The decision is what she notices. Why does this matter? Because spatial behavior reveals how you handle environments you don't control, and if you can't handle a room, her subconscious assumes you can't handle complexity or pressure or her, and that's just how you move. Wait until you hear what she's reading and how you touch things. This one sounds absurd until you understand the psychology. Women are subconsciously watching how you handle objects, your phone, a glass, a door, even how you set something down. Why? Because it reveals your relationship with control and care. When you grab your phone and stare at it mid-conversation, even for 2 seconds, you've just shown her that your attention is fractured, that you're not fully present, that something else might always be more important than the moment in front of you. When you set a glass down with a loud thunk, you've signaled impatience or lack of spatial awareness. When you hold a door but let it slam behind you, you've shown care in the gesture but not in the follow-through. Here's a specific one. Watch how a man treats a waiter or bartender. If he's dismissive, snaps his fingers, or doesn't say thank you, she's filing that as how he'll treat her once the chase is over. Objects are a proxy for people. The care you show toward things when you think no one's watching, that's the care you'll show toward her when the novelty fades. Her subconscious knows this, yours doesn't, but here's where it gets even deeper, because it's not just what you do, it's what happens to your face when you think she's not looking. You know what you look like when you're talking to her, smiling, engaged, animated, but what does your face do when you're not the center of attention? When someone else is talking, when you're waiting in line, when you're listening to a story that doesn't involve you, that's the version she's studying. Most people have a default face. For some, it's neutral. For others, it's slightly annoyed or bored or judgmental. You don't notice it because it's your baseline, but she does. If your resting expression is critical or disinterested, she's reading that as your true emotional state. The smile you give her, that's effort. The face you have when you don't think anyone's watching, that's who you really are. Here's a specific example. You're at dinner, she's telling a story, you're nodding, making eye contact, doing everything right, but then the waiter interrupts and for half a second your face flashes irritation. She saw that, and now she's wondering, is that what he looks like when I annoy him? Micro expressions don't lie. Your conscious face can fake interest. Your subconscious face cannot. And women are experts at catching the difference because they've had to be for survival, for safety, for knowing who they're really dealing with. Now, most men think they're good listeners. They're not, and she can tell in under 10 seconds. Here's how. Listening isn't about staying quiet while someone talks. It's about what your body and mind do while they're talking, and women are testing this constantly, not consciously, but they're paying attention to whether you're waiting to speak or actually processing what they're saying. Here's the tell. When she finishes a sentence, do you respond immediately, or is there a microsecond pause where you're clearly thinking about what she just said? If you're firing back instantly, you weren't listening. You were loading your next point. Your brain was in broadcast mode, not receive mode. Real listening has a rhythm. She says something. You pause, you reflect it back, or ask a follow-up question that proves you were tracking. Most men skip this because they think speed equals engagement. It doesn't. It equals self-involvement. Another thing, do you interrupt? Even politely? Even to agree? Every interruption says, what I'm about to say is more important than what you're currently saying. This is one of the biggest missed opportunities. Because most men are terrible listeners, her bar is low. If you're one of the few who actually makes her feel heard, not just responded to, you've separated yourself from 90% of men she's ever talked to, and that's magnetic. But here's the one that might hit hardest, because it's not about what you do when things are going well. It's about what happens when they're not. Anyone can be charming when everything's smooth, but the moment something goes wrong, a miscommunication, a delay, a disagreement, your real emotional regulation shows up. And she's watching that more closely than anything else. Imagine this. You're on a date. The reservation got messed up. You're waiting 30 minutes for a table. Most men do one of two things. First, they get visibly frustrated and let it ruin the mood. Or second, they awkwardly try to power through while clearly annoyed inside. The rare man, he adapts. No visible irritation, no blaming the host. He pivots, suggests grabbing a drink at the bar, turns the inconvenience into an opportunity to connect more. He's not pretending it's fine. He's genuinely unbothered because his emotional stability doesn't hinge on things going perfectly. Here's another one. She says something you disagree with. Do you debate her immediately, get defensive, or do you pause, ask a clarifying question, and stay curious instead of combative? Friction is the test of emotional maturity. When things don't go your way, does your nervous system spike and leak out through irritation, passive aggression, or blame? Or do you stay regulated? This is the single biggest predictor of long-term compatibility, because life is friction. If you can't handle a messed up reservation, you can't handle conflict, and she knows it. So let's come back to the beginning. You think she's watching your confidence, your humor, the way you present yourself. She's not. Not really. She's watching how you exist when you're not trying, how you move, how you treat things, what your face does when you think no one's looking, how you listen, and how you handle the moments when life doesn't cooperate. Because those moments, that's the real you. The version that shows up 6 months in, a year in, when the performance ends and the relationship begins. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. You can't fake these things. You can't rehearse spatial confidence or emotional regulation. You can't script micro expressions, but you can become aware of them. You can start paying attention to the unconscious patterns you've been running your entire life. Because the moment you do, the moment you realize that attraction isn't built on what you say, but on who you are when you're not thinking about it, that's when everything changes.